Spud, I'm getting a warning on my Skype that's saying that I have to acknowledge and inform you that I am recording this for legal purposes, that you have to be aware of that. I'm sure it tells you it's been recorded.
So suppose I have to put on some clothes now, huh?
Well, no one's going to see it, but it's just if that's the type of presentation you would like to give me, then go for it.
Isn't it mad? Like, I remember I was home, not the last time I was home, the time before, and I went up to see you, and I had passed through the toll bridges and all. There's an M50 toll, then there's another toll up around Dundalk somewhere. Drogheda.
Yeah.
And I had parked in Dundrum as well overnight. So my uncle had this thing in the car.
The beep.
Yeah. Mm. And I was thinking in my head, like, right, how much? So I was counting up how much I owed him, and I thought, right, so I'll just, when I get home, I'll put some money on it. So I rang them up and I says, yeah, look, that's the reg of the car. I want to top it up. And they said, no, you can't. That's not your car. I'm like, what? GDPR, mate. I'm like, no, but like, I want to give you money. It's like, we can't. It's like, but what?
It's crazy, like Ross Online, which is the revenue thing we have here, is like the hardest thing to get into or whatever. Like, you have to have a certificate on your browser, all this type of thing, as if someone is going to go in and pay your tax for you. You know what I mean? It's highly unlikely. Yeah. I got one of those scam text messages last night saying that my Bank of Ireland account had been frozen and that I need to log in with all my details into this very dodgy new bankofireland.com, it was called, or something similar. Really. But the actual number it came from was like 800-365, so I can 100% see people falling for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. Like, my dad used to get lots of those calls from scammers. How is your Microsoft doing today? What? What's you talking about? Like, do you want to be a member of TalkTalk? Like, TalkTalk's not even in Ireland.
Yeah.
No, it's just,
the best thing to ask them is like, there's a problem with your broadband, yeah. And you go, who provides my broadband? Yeah. One time the guy rang up and I answered. I just went, you're one of these scam calls, are you? And there was this pause, and you went, yeah. So fair enough. So have I been talking to you about Servant? Did I mention that last time? The TV show, the M. Night Shyamalan ding ding ding.
Yeah. The Apple thing, yeah.
Yeah, I finished it anyway. Oh, it's tremendous. It's one of the best TV programs I've seen in a long while. So I highly recommend it. It's one of those things where it just so easily could have fallen apart, and instead of falling apart, it expanded, and not in a kind of a terrible way. You know, where like in a murder mystery where just before the end, a new character comes in, and you went, "Oh no, that's not fair. You're not gonna do that. That's not on."
Was it as good as like the OA then? The OA was great.
It's very different, but like it's really good. It's as good as any TV program I've seen, and it, like, when I was talking, I think it was around episode 8. Even if I had gone terrible, the suspense and the not having a clue what's going on up to that point would still have, totally worth it. But I was delighted it ended in such a good way, because it's so hard, as we were saying before, to get surprised by TV shows.
Of course, yeah.
And your man M. Night Shyamalan, I think he only directed the first episodes. We didn't write it, so it's more or less.
That's a good thing.
Every second thing he does is a good thing, and there seems to be his modus operandi is to do something cool and then something not so cool. But that could be like, if you talk to someone else, they might think it's the opposite films are good than me. So I mean, it's just.
Nah, but they don't though. Like, his bad ones are pretty bad, you know.
Yeah, there's always a moment in it where it's kind of going, right, there's a massive plot hole here. Let's just get one of the characters to say something that fills it. It's just going, I heard this thing that maybe aliens don't like. All right, yeah, from now on, it's
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice one, lads. Thank you. You know.
So,
you sent me this humanist thing.
Yeah. Tell me a bit about that. You were saying, explain what we're talking.
Tell me what you sent first. Tell the people what you sent me.
Right. Well, a couple of years ago, how long ago? It's probably. So I remember Dara O'Brien talking about it. So when's the last time I see Dara O'Brien? But he said we brought in this law into Ireland, the Blasphemy Law, which means you weren't basically allowed to say anything bad about God.
I think it came in 2012 or.
Yeah, it's not that, like something ridiculously modern that you think is that. kind of thing. And then everyone kind of went, what?
What?
Who asked for that? And then we had a vote for it a couple of years ago. When did we vote for it? 2 years ago, or something. And today it's finally been turfed out. Said no, we're not having any of that anymore.
It's mad that it takes a law. It takes a law like that 2 years to get through. But like gay marriage was done over the weekend, like.
I know, but there's political jobs that have to look good, and also there's an election coming up some Saturday here, so that let's get this blasphemy thing. See, we have done something. We've done something.
Yeah, there was apparently the two lads, the two leaders of the parties were debating on telly last night, and like the guy who's the present Prime Minister, Taoiseach, he kind of said, "Oh yeah, we'd cozy up to them lads," and they were like, "uh-oh." So it's weird. Ireland's politics is so weird because the two opposition parties are exactly the same except for their name. You know?
And one of them used to be fascist.
yeah, Catholic fascist, which is kind of like the main party here in Poland, which are called PiS.
Right. Okay.
PIS, and there was a party before that. Who used to be in opposition to them. I didn't think they still are. They're called Platforma, but their initials were PO, so Poo. So you had the PiS and the Poo party ruling Poland. Very strange.
Yeah, I used to be well up on all the Irish politics, and I used to listen to news talk and as well. And then I was just going like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah. Look, I had definitely have this. But I think it's not, and I don't know whether it's because I just like to know what's going on, or if it's just you are kind of addicted to this kind of news cycle. Because I've been chasing up this fella lately. Because with my podcast, I want to kind of broaden out and do plenty of interviews as well with people. But like I have usually been doing the comedians and singers and stuff like that. But I want to start getting authors as well. And he has I'll give you his name, Rolf DeBelly.
Rolf Harris.
That's Rolf Harris. No, I'm not interviewing him. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie your children down, you big.
Oh man.
Pedo. That was awful, wasn't it? Because I liked him.
Yeah.
Like it's way worse that he was a pedo than Jimmy Savile, because Jimmy Savile was just fucking weirdo.
Yeah, you look at Jimmy Savile and go, "Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised." It's Rolf Harris. Do you know what it is? Yes, it's a paedophile. He got out there recently, though, didn't he? Rolf Harris.
Which is he out? I don't know.
Or some, I don't know. One of them got out recently.
Well, no, anyway. Jimmy Savile. Anyway, he's dead. Anyway, your man.
Or is he?
he's on a beach with Gary Glitter and Kurt Cobain and all that.
Epstein.
Totally killed himself. Your man's name, Rolf DeBelly, right? So he has a book out called "Stop Reading the News." So I'm trying to chase him down and to get an interview, but I don't think my podcast is big enough for his publishers. But anyway, that's not going to stop me.
Just lie.
Yeah. Well, I have already.
I was watching the Neil Gaiman masterclass, and one of his sections, the whole thing is that when you're starting off, I just lied to everyone.
Oh yeah. Do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've told people. Yeah, I write regularly for the Irish Times, and I've written twice, which is regularly.
Once there's another time, then there's
yeah. So he has a thing. He has a TED talk where he talks about 4 reasons why you shouldn't watch the news. But he's actually written a book. I think it's 15 reasons why you should never watch the news. And like even just after watching that, like last week, I think I've been on 2 news websites since, and I just immediately, once I realized what I was doing, I turned it off because like it's really bad for you. The news.
It's really bad. I've like one of the greatest things that I ever did was turning off Ian Dempsey. We used to and it's not that Ian Dempsey's fine. It's the fact that it's the news. Like every morning, the alarm clock would come on and Ian Dempsey would come on. And first of all, there would be a list of things that were terrible about the world and about what was going to go wrong. And then a few things at the end of what you can look forward to in the future to worrying about that might happen. And it's going. You start your day with a list of just
Yeah, they have. I mean, I like that BBC Six. I like BBC Six. The music's really, really good on it, but I wish they'd shut the fuck up and just play music. Or if it was just like, the next song is this, or that last song was that, and then that's it. Like, I mean, I remember one of the best gigs I ever went to was the Pixies, and they didn't speak at all for the whole gig. Right. They just got up, played the songs, like just no interaction at all. Up, songs, thank you, I know that's when they spoke. They say thank you at the end of every song, and then that was it. They just walked off, and it was wonderful because there's not like, you ever see like the likes of David Gray or what's that ginger fella? What's his name? Ed Sheeran.
Oh, Ed Sheeran, yeah.
This song is about the time that I dropped something on my toe and it led to heartbreak when I met a lady who I had dreamed about, and then when I met her I didn't really like her anymore, but she was great in bed. Shut up and play the song!
Yeah.
Oh.
Bono's the worst for that, isn't he, really?
Every time I clap, a child in Africa dies.
Yeah, stop fucking
clapping! Great.
I was just looking at my recording thing there, and it seems to have been in the red, so God knows. At least we have the backup of Skype. We can do something.
Backup of Skype.
So if you're listening to this and the quality's a bit weird, do you really care?
It's about to get better.
So what we were going to talk about today is the wonderful world of pendulums.
Oh wait, we hadn't finished the humanist thing.
Oh right, sorry.
So I need to explain to you what happened. So when I was studying journalism, I knew people who were involved with drafting this law. This was a hole in the Constitution of Ireland about blasphemy, because there was a little bit about it in the Constitution, but not enough for anyone to be ruled against or ruled for if such a case ever came about, right? And no cases had really come about. I think there was one or two, but the judges had just been like, this is nonsense, let's get rid of it. But because Ireland's a constitutional democracy, you need to have laws for things like this. So I knew people involved with this, and they had been telling us, I was studying under them, and they were telling us that the way that they were writing the law was that it was going to protect people so that you could say blasphemous things and do blasphemous things, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Not that it promotes doing it, but like if you do it, you'll be fine, don't worry about it. And they it didn't come, like I left college in 2004 or 5, something like that, and it didn't come into law then until 2010, is that what we said? 2012?
Something, yeah.
So like for all that time, that meant that basically what I said to you was that it was a fiddle. It was something that was set up to have lawyers working on stuff and drafting stuff, and like God only knows how many people were working on this and how much money they got paid. And then it becomes law, people go crazy about it, and then it gets voted out, and it's just like how much money was spent on this thing, which was completely meaningless. It's insane, isn't it?
Was there anyone charged, or was there anything inactive because of the law, or anything like? Was there someone?
Not since it came in anyway. I think there were 2 cases years and years ago about it, but it had gone up to High Court or Supreme Court, and they were dismissed because, I mean, actually, kind of in most countries, judges are fairly liberal when it comes to the law, because it's all about interpretation and also about precedents as well. So and plus as well, you can change precedents. Just be like, yeah, well, that happened in the 60s, but you know that was the 60s.
Times have changed.
You know.
So could if say I don't know, some crime, I stabbed you in the eye, I pulled your eye out with a spoon because the fixer told me. That's obviously against the law. Could the judge say, well, I don't think in this case that it's, you know, that's that bad of a law?
No, because you've criminal law and constitutional law, so they're different.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's criminal law.
So is blasphemy wouldn't be criminal law? No. So what is the thing that's what's the line that separates the two?
I don't know, to be honest now. I don't know.
Like, is a parking fine criminal or constitutional? Depends on where you park.
That's civil law, isn't it? That's civil.
That's
civil law. And plus, then it depends on the country, because you know Ireland, England, America, Australia, that's all common law. But where I am, Poland's system is looks like the German system, which is like the French system. It's all kind of on civil standards, and so like there has to in Polish law is mental. Like there has to be a law for every situation. So if something happens, like in Britain and Ireland, and there's no specific law for it, they look back at precedents and say, oh yeah, well that's similar enough, so let's use that ruling. But in Poland, they're like, oh, shit, we don't have a law. We have to make a law. Honestly, yeah, it's mad. And then you have countries like Switzerland. Switzerland's amazing. Like they have so many laws, and everything's broken down into provinces and counties, and everyone has to have like referenda on like little tiny changes of laws. I was looking up, you know, remember Michael Schumacher, yeah?
Yeah.
So he's still recovering from his accident, and the last time I was over there, because my brother lives in Switzerland, and Michael Schumacher lives in the county next to him. And as we were driving through, he was like, "Oh yeah, they changed the tax law here a couple of years ago." Okay, yeah, why? He's like, so here's an interesting story. And he said, well, because Michael Schumacher moved here, and because he paid so much tax, everyone else's tax got lower. It's like, wow!
Oh, wow!
Isn't that cool? Isn't it? You know, that's
Can you imagine if someone rich came to Ireland and paid more tax? And it was funny. Taxes going up, and also politicians are getting paid more. That's strange.
Nuts anyway. Right, so that's the humanist thing. That's the blasphemy thing. But it is mad.
Come here to while we have the humanist thing, because it came up recently for me. In the therapy I do is EFT, which is emotion focused therapy. But it's to make a big point of this humanist element, that it's a humanist therapy and stuff like that. It's not just another buzzword for atheistic.
As opposed to what though? Yeah.
Well, it makes think of that, rather than that you use the word, rather than any kind of divine kind of that it's promoting the human rather than the divine. So it's not just a different word for atheist. I assume it is. Then is it? That's
humanist. Yeah. I suppose it would be. Yeah. It would be. Yeah, because I suppose like if you look at things like AA is quite godly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's not. It is a form of therapy, I suppose, but there is like.
It is as much as any of them, I suppose, isn't
it? Yeah. Suppose. That's
it's less. It's more common or civil than like as an actual psychology science, which is seen as science or whatever.
Yeah, it is mad as well. Like I remember actually we had a debate on it in school, and people were getting up. Everyone had to make a presentation, and everyone was going mad about. Was it around the time of Charlie Hebdo or something? No, it wasn't. It was around the time that the thing about everyone should draw Muhammad. You remember when that started?
Oh yeah.
So we had a couple of Muslim students in the class, and they were really annoyed about this, and being the person who looks at things differently, or a troll. I'm not a troll. But I do. I'm left-handed and everything like that. I do have a thing about
sinister. You're just sinister. Admit it.
Sinister. I'm evil.
Yeah.
I found an image of this famous art piece. It was called Piss Christ. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's mental.
Yeah.
It was a crucifix suspended in a jar of urine.
Hurst.
Was it Damien? No, I don't think it was. Was it?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, well maybe it is. But
answers on a postcard.
Answers on a postcard, please. You can win a pen, Sharpie. I'll give you a Sharpie. A used Sharpie.
No, you can't say that because legally now you're obliged to, if someone enters, you have to send them a Sharpie now.
Yeah, but they don't know your address, so you'll be fine.
No, they said you'll have the gambling exchange after you. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
commission exchange.
I said this thing in the debate anyway, and like I was like, okay, how many people around the room are Christian or brought up Christian? Those people to answer. And then I showed them Piss Christ. On the thing behind me, and I said, okay, this is called Piss Christ. This is by an artist. It's a crucifix suspended in a jar of piss. Is anyone here offended by that? No, okay. And then I said, well, then people drawing Muhammad, like you guys really should not be getting offended about something that's pointless.
And it's not as if me count myself as a Christian. How dare I? It's not as if Christians don't have an equal law about I'm the Lord your God, don't have idols, all of these things. So you're not allowed to have a piss Christ. It is against the religion in the same way that you're not allowed to draw Muhammad. Like.
Yeah, that one always struck me. I don't know if you felt the same, but like the thing about having no idols and false gods, but then you have saints,
But don't be trying to read logic into things. Literally, the entire worship of saints is going against the commandments. Of course,
isn't it?
Yeah. But it's also like it's because he talks about
false
gods, or whatever. But in Genesis, he also talks about gods as in plural as well. So that he when Adam and Eve eat the fruit, they have become like us, which is an interesting kind of thing. So it's basically, I'm the top dog. Don't mind those other gods over there with their wings on their heels.
I don't know. I like to look at that elephant one, man. That one looks like a lot of fun.
The Ganesha one?
Yeah. I don't know much about the Hindu gods at all now. So
Ganesha's a top class man. You should hang out with him. He's really nice. He's the remover of obstacles.
You were telling me about him before, yeah. But he also puts them in the way for the crack.
Well, that's not the crack. The reason why you can remove them is that in the original his original guise was the placer of obstacles. So
Right.
he knows where he put them. So.
Okay. That's smart. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Anyway, that's that then.
Yeah.
A little bit
So
of knowledge for you.
we wanted to talk a bit about pendulums, and I think it from reality transurfing. I think there's probably a better approach than just trying to do reality transurfing because there's just so much in it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely the very first thing in reality transurfing that kind of grabbed me and went, "Oh, hold on, I like this. This makes sense. This is kind of good."
Sure. Yeah.
So, how would you define pendulum in
I think it'd be
reality
good.
transurfing terms?
I think it'd be good if we come back to sections of it from time to time. See, I only got the book,
Yeah.
so like, as I get through it, I'd like to talk more about the stuff. But like, yeah, pendulums, man, pendulums are nuts. Like, I put a meme out. You know the toy. Usually, I sent it to you first. The Toy Story one of like Woody and Buzz, and Buzz is doing the hand, and Woody looks terrified, and there's pendulums everywhere. But like, I was reading it and just going, they're everywhere, and I'm surrounded by them, and I'm suffocating.
So, for people who don't know, what are they?
I don't know if I'm the best person to explain. So a pendulum is. I was explaining this to Aga like.
When a mammy and daddy love each other very much.
A pendulum can be something like, let's say you have two football teams playing against each other.
Yeah.
You have Liverpool and Man United. Now, the support of those clubs isn't a tangible, touchable thing. So think of it as a thought form, you know? So everyone who is a supporter of Liverpool, they're all part of this energy force, we'll call it, yeah?
Yeah.
And so then that's a pendulum. But a pendulum can be negative and it can be positive. So a negative aspect of being maybe a Liverpool supporter would be that maybe you're spending too much money on it. You're going to matches, you're going to away matches. It's leading to breakups of marriages and stuff like that. And
You get pissed off when Liverpool lose.
Yeah,
you
of
get
course,
bad
and you're getting
form.
upset.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but a positive could be is that maybe they have enhanced your life somehow, that you've become part of a group who've accepted you or something like that. They don't. And the pendulum itself is neutral, but it feeds off like positive and negative thoughts or negative energy, I suppose would be the best way to do it. But
it feeds off the adherence is the word they use.
Yeah.
People involved. So
Sure.
it takes the energy from these
Yeah.
type things.
Yeah. But like everything can be a pendulum. It can be like for you, we were talking about this. Like for you, it could be the 40 servants. For me, it would be
Sure.
like sports betting or sports writing. That's what I think. Our jobs are our pendulums. You know.
Yeah.
Our relationships, especially like pendulums that are very difficult to figure out, are like family relationships. You know, because you can't really get away from them. Like your parents are your parents, and that's you're stuck with them. You know, and. It's kind of opened my eyes a bit to the way. I presume like this thing about the Rolf the Belly guy was talking about, his book. Stop Reading the News. Like, it's funny how that came into my life at exactly the time I was reading about these pendulums. And I am someone who does kind of focus a lot on the media, but then immediately I've seen this, right? That's just a pendulum. Going to independent.ie or the journal.ie or the Guardian, whatever, I'm reading a bit of news, like it's just this media pendulum that I don't need, and it's just.
And then you can even kind of, I suppose, look at it as there's, in a sense, sub-pendulums. So you have media, news media, but then you also have Joe.ie, you have Broadsheet.ie, who have a very kind of distinct following or group think. I think one of the things that separates a kind of a pendulum from other things is that people tend to think the same way. That's the kind of the energy of it. It's a group thought, kind of, and if you get involved in it, you tend to start thinking like the pendulum, and you start thinking they're your opinions and they're your things. So you often find yourself getting caught up in, say, something on Twitter, and then you go away for an hour and you come back and go, what was I thinking? I don't even care about any of this, but it's just you get into that kind of sphere of influence of these things. So if you have a certain, if you only get your news from CNN, you're part of CNN's groupthink, pendulum influence, and it's you become an adherence to CNN, and to the point of that you kind of find it hard, or anyone that is CNN, but it's any of them, you'd find it hard, even if you disagree and want to actually disagree, because you're part of that kind of a situation now.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it's pretty interesting. Well, even to go back further, like why he used, like, look, I don't know what the original Russian that he used
Yeah,
was right
yeah.
now, but I think it's pretty maybe coincidental, or it's good symbolically that he used pendulum as this idea, because pendulums have been used in magic for forever.
Yeah.
So I thought, can you tell me a bit more about their use in magic? 'Cause I don't really know.
Pendulums would be mostly used in dowsing, which would be a kind of a divination type thing, where you would what you would see an awful lot is people kind of holding them and then getting it. If it spins one way, it'll be yes. If it spins the other way, it'll be no. Or you can set up a kind of a no thing. That's one way of doing it. But another kind of way, it'd be kind of like the thing, where you find water, that kind of thing. So there'd be elements of that. You can do dowsing with a pendulum over a map, try and find something that's lost. That kind of thing. It's as if it can. Some people are really good at it. I mean, it's easy to laugh.
Small scale map, though, yeah.
Yeah, small, But I mean, like most people that build houses in Ireland find a water supply. Some guy with two sticks.
Rods,
yeah. So I mean, it's whether there's an awful lot of water or not. It's a service that is appreciated enough that people pay for it. Like whatever. But so yeah, you'd have it in that kind of thing, but it's not really used in the sense of pendulum in the reality transurfing. Mm-hmm. The equivalent name in magic or the occult of a pendulum would be egregore, which is it's defined as an entity, an energy that is created by groups, and that then has its own kind of agenda and moves on, and then kind of feeds off the group involved, which is pretty much exactly the same type thing. Which is when we were talking about the 40 servants before and saying that people get a bit strange about it. That's what they think it kind of is. This kind of autonomous, sovereign, have a life of its own, can ruin your life, can take over. So it's more egregore pendulum, whereas the servitor, I would see it as more as it fulfills a very a function of its own. It's not feeding off the people involved, even though it's feeding off attention in the 40 servants kind of sense. But it doesn't have its own agenda. It's not a group think. People approach servitors in their own kind of way, rather than getting kind of caught up into this kind of egregore. Like Jehovah is definitely an egregore, or is real, whatever way you want to put it. Or Jesus, it's kind of this kind of thing that has its own, I suppose, own mission or something like that people join up towards.
Yeah, I don't know whose quote it is, but there's someone who said, like, well, even if Jesus wasn't real, he's real now.
Well, that's it. That's it. Absolutely, he's as real because people act as if he's real. Decisions are made, laws are made. Same as money. Like it's not real, but like it's the most real thing.
Money's the maddest one. Yeah, the thing about if aliens came down, what's the maddest thing? They have to be money, wouldn't it? Because like wouldn't it be mad to go back to a barter system just for like a weekend?
Yeah, and then you realise no one wants any of my shit.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you'd be able to do card readings and stuff for people, or you'd be able to. You have tons of books there you could swap for
or burn
labor.
For heat.
I have no idea. But they're like, yeah, okay, I'll make you picture frames. You can, I don't know, what do you want to do in my house? Clean the gutters. There you go. Yeah, they're 20 foot up there. Good luck. Get a ladder. I'm too scared.
Enjoy that. Technically, in reality transurfing, he would say that all pendulums are negative, even the ones that we receive as positive, just because it's part of the, I suppose, the kind of greater system. But I don't know. That's
yeah, that's. I mean,
it depends on what you think is going on cosmologically, I suppose. Like, because I would see the servitors of the 40 servants as good pendulums, positive pendulums, things, that kind of, you can get in on the energy of it, you can, interact with all that thing.
I think it's more of a perspective thing.
Yeah.
Like for most people, sports betting would be a very, very bad thing. And far too many people deal with gambling addiction, and the Irish government and the British government are terrible at this thing. But for me, it's quite good. I'm making money off it, and not just from the betting. Like, I'm writing about it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a pendulum that I think, for many, many people, can be absolutely terrible and awful and horrible. But for me, it's working fine.
But you're still kind of an adherent to it. You're still
for sure. But there's a bit that he writes about that, like, pendulums are bad because they're a thing that live off energy, whether good or bad. But you can work with them and kind of take advantage of them. That was my reading.
Yeah, well, there's the thing that he says how to get kind of negate a negative pendulum. One of the things he says is that the big thing to do is to ignore it, and it's kind of ignored in a very kind of definite way. It's not ignoring it but secretly worrying about it. It's not ignoring it but secretly not ignoring it. It's actually giving it no energy.
Yeah, it's giving it no power. Yeah,
no power. That kind of. So it's not like you say it's your family pendulum, whatever. It's not that you listen to your nagging mother or mother-in-law or whoever it is and say, I'm ignoring that bitch. It should genuinely just go, that's her doing her thing. Wait, you don't, that's the thing of ignoring it. But that, obviously that's hard. You're not gonna.
Well, it depends on how loud your mother-in-law is.
Well, it does, and it depends on how embedded you are in the pendulum. An obvious kind of way that you can see pendulums, I think, apart from the family, is years ago, when I was my original Facebook kind of profile, and I had people from school, I had people from different workplaces, I had family and stuff like that, and I kind of felt that when I was talking to people from school that I had to be kind of part of that pendulum of the school, of the person I was at the time, the energy that we all had, because we were part of a group that was everyone in the year, from school. So there was all this kind of whole energy of that. Then people from work, from say when I did games, and then there's people who were like when I was with bands, and then there was the family, and none of them got on with each other. It was completely it was kind of very hard for me in the middle of that to be the person who is part of the pendulum of school, the person part of the band thing, still trying to be, somewhat decent in front of Auntie Mary or whatever, and I just, to the point where I just deleted it all because I can't be that person. And you do find, I suppose, that when you haven't seen people since college and then you meet up with them, you very quickly get back into kind of the relationship or the energy that you had with them at the time. Now I would see that as probably much like that's a kind of good pendulum description, and I suppose that it's kind of part of it would be habit, that kind of, because it's easy, we understand the relationship, we know what the rules of the interaction is. Yeah. We know what you're not allowed to talk about. We know, don't bring up the thing about his sister, or whatever is the rules that we've set up with these kind of different conversations.
Yeah.
But there's an implication, I think, with the pendulum that has its own kind of volition. Not that it has an agenda in the sense that your family has a kind of it's not a mission. It's not going to do something. It's not secretly this family is going to go to the moon. And this is my mission behind it. But it's kind of, I think more that there's a kind of nefarious or insidious undertone of that there's a trap in this kind of we're going to keep you in this group think, to kind of to feed off rather than having
because if it's an energy form, then it feeds off energy whether good or bad.
Yeah.
And especially with families, it can be very easy to fall into the bad side of things, but there's another thing about so there's the ignoring it, and it's like, I think the first step is to recognize it's something and then say, right, actually, you know what? It's like I'm looking off into the distance. I know,
you
know what? You have a right to exist. You're grand. I get you. I know what you're at. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Or, well, not even fuck off, but it's just, you know what? You do your thing. I'm gonna do mine. It's like me with the news now. I'm trying to get away from watching it. I already have made little steps or decent steps already. Hopefully it continues. And so that's one pendulum that I've just said, nah, don't need you in my life. I'm walking away. You're allowed to be there. Totally, you're allowed to be there and do your own thing. But I'm just going. It's like a fork in the road. I'm going the other way. Another way he said is to use I think it's called, is it Aikido? It's kind of like a martial arts. I think it's called Aikido. And Aikido is when you don't use any aggressive moves towards your opponent. You use their power. So as they come to you and they try and box you, you use their momentum against them, and you kind of throw them over your shoulder or whatever it is,
Yeah.
So he said that's one thing, and I think that fits with me, and the idea that sports betting is a pendulum. I just use its force and I go with its flow, and I
Yes.
I
Yeah.
let it use. I use its energy and it uses my energy. If that makes sense, you know.
Yeah. Yes, but you're not.
Not fighting against it.
You're not creating new energy, I suppose, either, or you're not putting it into. There's a third thing he kind of talks about. I think comes later in the book. Is this idea of renting yourself
Tommy,
out.
spoiler, Tommy, spoiler.
They'll die in the end. It's renting yourself out, which, like, I mean, I guarantee you that's not what that's a bad translation. Like but it's where you prostitute yourself for money. No, it's where you. It's like, say you go to your family and whatever, and instead of fighting it, instead of going, Dad, you're racist and homophobic, or whatever your dad is, instead of trying to battle it or I can't believe you're a Fine Gael man, have you, whatever political party, or I can't believe you like Man United, I'm a Liverpool man. Instead of doing that, you rent yourself out, which is, say, you give the person what they want.
Yeah.
Rather than, so you just go, Man United were great last night, Dad. Fair dues to you, that was a great performance. Or, I understand the people from the other countries are coming in and taking someone's jobs, or whatever it is that the thing is. And it's like, it's in the understanding that you're playing a game, that you're doing it as a dissipation or whatever. It's not that it's not like the chaos magic thing of where you take on that actual belief of the other person or whatever. It's just negating the thing by, I suppose, in a sense, just pacifying them or placating them in a kind of thing, but not taking on, like, don't become racist to, because your grandmother's racist and you don't want to be the pendulum of it.
It's like I'm sure you've read it or listened to it, the old How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie.
I did years and years and years ago, so don't test me on it.
It's very good, isn't it? I really liked it. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
And he says that in one of the things is that, like, if you go along to a party and there's someone you kind of don't want to be around, just kind of agree with them for a while until you find someone else to hang out with.
It's easy. But I think people don't want to do that because, you have integrity. You must have integrity, and especially now when you have to fight for every cause and all of these things. Just go, it's okay. You don't have to. Every part of your life doesn't have to be a battle. You don't have to win every conversation.
Of course.
You
don't have to fight, box clever.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you're not going to change anyone's mind.
You don't even have to box.
I've never seen anyone change their mind because of an argument on the internet, for instance, ever. Or in real life. I think that people just get exhausted by the argument and give up and go, we finish that next Christmas when you come back. But,
you mean you won't be here for Easter?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. There's another one as well. I remember from the book was that, like, if you listen to people, like, really listen to what they're saying, they will think you're the best person in the world. Like, don't talk back, don't interject, don't give your opinions like it's a competition. If you just listen to the person talk, as soon as you're gone, they will say you were the best listener and you are just a perfect friend. And I was like, Dale, I'm keeping that one. Thank you. Yeah. That is perfect, because it's such a sneaky way of making people think you're nice.
Well, I suppose
I'm being facetious.
You're not. No, but it's
I'm
true.
okay.
One other thing, just while we're on that, one of the things you can do, the psychological tricks, is that if you want to ingratiate yourself with someone, is to ask for their help on something.
Yeah.
Minor. And then that kind of seems to make people like you more. Not in something big, like, don't say, can you come and clean out my gutters? it's like, can you loan me a pen? I need
said, give me a hand with the ladder, will you?
Yeah,
like, yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. But
it's funny.
The thing that I find about pendulums that he doesn't really talk about, because he says it's a group thing, But I can definitely recognise ones that I have for myself. Now, that might be part of a bigger team or something like that, but there's definitely like, kind of like in the sense of a hang up or kind of a bad kind of trait. And I have a huge kind of thing that I fall into. A thing is this kind of victim mentality thing, and it's kind of, I could see it kind of playing out in my life, and then you get I had it like a couple of years ago. I had a clarity on it. I go, oh, geez, look at what I'm doing. This is putting myself as a kind of victim to the world. The world is against it or whatever, and it's kind of messed up a bit with, like, fear of success or fear of failure, or one of those things, because you kind of if the world is against you, or if people are against you, or if circumstances against you, then that's the reason why you're not successful. It's not that you tried and failed.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter that you fail because you have something to blame.
Something to know. It's because all of these things, and it's like the constant kind of thing. And I had a very clarity, and then it kind of you get back into the pendulum of it, and you kind of you don't change your habit, and it's kind of finding. And here's the thing that I was alluding to when I was talking to you about the kind of breakthrough I had with the EFT, which is the therapy I'm doing, is that what I found why I was getting worse and worse every week going to this thing is because that was indulging the victim mentality in me. It was allowing it. You were wallowing in these kind of emotions, and you were kind of. It was when a realization that I'd been there for 10 hours or something over the course of the weeks, and I hadn't said one thing about anything that I had done wrong in my life. It was all about what other people had done or what life had done, and it's kind of going, all right, so you're fucking perfect, are you? And you never did anything bad to anyone else in the world. And it was kind of like, that's an interesting. And then you go, oh, I remember that time when you realized you were playing the victim constantly. And I was going, all right, you're doing that again. Well done. Well done. And I mean, it's obvious to people around you, but you can't tell a person who thinks they're a victim that they're the problem, because that's. It's absolutely opposed to their thinking, because it's the world is the problem. So that's the thing about the EFT. It's just that you go in and you go, oh, well, how does that make you feel? Well, it makes me feel like a victim. And where in your body does that? And well, it's up on my heart, and this kind of, and it's, and so when you're doing that kind of thing, and it's weeks of just indulging in kind of pity me, kind of self-absorbed kind of things, which is fine if that's kind of what the process is meant to be. Let a fool. Persist in his folly, and eventually he will find, that he's wrong. But sometimes when you let a fool persist in their folly, they do really foolish things. Yeah. So it's a dangerous kind of a thing. I don't think it is. Going by the literature and stuff like that, I don't think it's kind of to make you realise how, I suppose, bitchy towards the universe you are, or how self-pitying you are. I think it's genuinely meant to, to get you in touch with your feelings, man.
So, wait now, were you supposed to have noticed this before?
No, I don't think you're meant that. I don't think the process of EFT is that you're meant to realize this. I think you're meant that the idea is that you realize that, oh, my dad or my grandmother or whatever hurt me, and I didn't realize that I was carrying this hurt around with me, and now that I've described it and feel it in my body, I can release it. I think that's what it is.
Right.
But if you are looking to indulge your victim mentality, you go, oh, it turns out my grandmother really hurt me. I have another string in my bow, and I'll just go, because there's a thing you do. It's called chairs, and it's very much like the Gestalt therapy of where you pretend you're talking to the other person. And I was going, well, I don't see the utility of this, because I've said all of these things to the actual person, and it didn't make me change my mind about how I was feeling. Oh, we'll do it anyway, and this kind of thing. And what I found is it felt like a game. It felt like role playing. It felt like. When I was kind of indulgent in my head and having the arguments with people and the justifications and all that, when it was saying it out loud, I couldn't get angry. I couldn't get annoyed in the way I was. And that's because because it is fake.
It's you're talking to an empty chair, man.
Well, not even that, but it's fake that you realize by externalizing it, and you're meant to be trying to get your emotion out, is that that's not my emotion. I'm trying to solve an insoluble problem, whereas that I don't want to not be a victim, because that is my modus operandi. So that by saying, when I'm having conversations with different people pretending they're in chairs, it's like going, it's not going to do anything, because that's not my problem.
Yeah, okay.
Because I said, if I don't say it to, say I had an issue with my grandmother, and I said it to her before she died, and now I said it to her in chairs, and it didn't make any difference either time, because my problem isn't with her. It's that I used that interaction to feed the pendulum of
or to justify certain behaviors, or
to justify it. So it starts with the emotion. It starts with the thing, victim, and then let's look for things to back that up. Let's justify that. It's like when you wake up in a shitty mood, and then you make sure that anything that happens to you justifies your mood. You make coffee. Oh, look at the fucking thing spilt. Oh. And it's just it's like so shitty when you see it, because once it's kind of very, you feel not revealed, what's the word? Well, you do feel revealed, relieved, Jesus, brain. That thank God, something. But then you kind of go, oh man, that's tremendously embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, oh, I've been doing that. And the worst is, I knew years ago that I have a tendency to do that. But having done that, I go, my breathing has changed. It's unbelievable. I'm like noticing, just the. But like, we know that we take so much in our breath, and that when you're angry or you're stressed, you shallow breathing, all these type of things. But I didn't realize I was constantly doing that. That I wasn't ever allowing myself to. So it's an interesting one. I have to go back to her on Monday and say, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. Can we do something else? But I don't think I can because I'm locked into that.
How many more weeks of it are there?
8 to 12. Yeah, it's because it's like it's locked into this study and actual thing. So it's not I'll probably just have to.
Go in and make stuff up. Like the next time she asks you, like, how did it make you feel? Like a fucking stegosaurus.
Where on your body do you feel that? My ear.
In my. You could be like, well, I feel it in my body when I imagine that I'm a Tyrannosaurus trying to change the bed sheets, and then my hands are flapping, and I feel it in my flappy hands. Then see what she says.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes.
Copyright strike.
Yeah. Victimhood is all around me. Let's make this feeling grow.
But it's mad because like, not in a competition way, but like when I was doing the therapy, a lot of the stuff was I was quite unhappy with where I kind of was in life, and a lot of the stuff was like, we probably would have been friends then. Like I had this huge anger on Facebook. I was always complaining about Polish politics or Irish politics, and it wasn't the problem. The problem was just me being unhappy or miserable. She never said I was depressed, but I never asked her if I was depressed, because I don't think I wanted
to know.
I certainly didn't want to be depressed because, like, I went to 2 doctors in Ireland. I was like, yeah, look, I'm in awful form. Like, I think I'm pretty down, and they were just like, well, what do you want to prescribe me? I'm like, no, I don't want drugs. Like,
yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, you weirdo.
then why are you here? What do you want me to do? Hold your hand or something?
So anyway,
tell you a nice story.
They were useless, but yeah, like but point is that like when I was seeing her at that moment in time, that's what we were talking about, and just like kind of seeing that I had a lot of kind of manipulative friends, but also I was very malleable by people, like I could.
Yeah.
I was like a loyal fucking Labrador. I'd always do what you asked me to, always unquestioning. Like if you rang me at 4:00 in the morning and you were broke down in Warsaw, I'm in the car going for you. Like instead of just being like, man, it's 4 a.m. No.
Yeah.
Ring the fucking ring your insurance company. But now, like if I went now, like I reckon I'd have a totally different set of stuff
problems
to talk about. Problems. Well, just I wouldn't say problems, but stuff to talk about that probably stuff that you'd like to talk about, but not with people who know the situation. Like even if I was to talk to you about, say, I don't know, personal relationships or something like that, like it's not the same, because it's good to have like therapy. I had anyway.
A very much objective view. You mean I
don't even think it's objective, to be honest. It's just kind of someone who can be like, can be objective, but can also see it from the other side, or can find little tiny plot holes in it and just say, well, why are you doing it that way?
This is it. This is exactly what I need from therapy. Is not the indulgence of the how's that make you feel? Sitting your feelings. It's stop doing that.
No. That's not what I mean though. Because they won't do that. But if it's
they should. That's what I want.
No. But then that's counselling and guidance. I don't want that, because for me, like, I'm far too arrogant for someone to tell me what to do. I'd be like, no, because I would just do the opposite. If you told me what to do, I would do the opposite, not to annoy you, but just to show you that I can.
Yeah.
But it's just someone to look.
That's a really healthy behaviour.
I know, it's awful, isn't it? And it's just someone who can just look at things from a different perspective and kind of guide you. It's to kind of guide you into what you should be thinking about. You know what I mean? Like the whole time we were there, like I was with her for over a year, I think.
Right.
And like stuff about my parents just never came up because I don't have an issue with them. Never.
Yeah.
Like most people are like, oh, I can't go to therapy because they'll tell me about my parents. They'll make me hate my parents. No, not at all. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know what my point is. Yeah, no.
I think we're talking about the same thing. Like, I mean, not necessarily saying someone going, oh, stop that. But I mean, someone who can see what I'm doing and show me how to stop doing that.
Yeah, it's just someone with fresh eyes and say, look, come on, you're a classic case of this. You're grand, like, you know, calm down.
But that's not what I'm getting. What I'm getting is indulging in my behaviours further.
Yeah.
Which is not good for me. It's not.
No, just maybe this is some new type of therapy that hasn't been around.
Oh, well, it's around long. I think I can see great utility in it if you have issue with someone who's dead or you can't talk to anymore. And I'd say you could probably find a good release in sitting down and verbalizing a conversation with, an illusionary version of them on a chair or something like that. And I think if you have actual repressed emotions, you probably would discover them and stuff like that. But no, when you're just a little shit who feels sorry for himself constantly, it's probably the exact opposite of what you want.
Bitch,
Yeah.
But so what's the next step then? What do you want to do with this information?
I don't know. I had already told her I wasn't coming back, and she rang me and goes, "Come back for at least once, and we'll talk about what else we can do." So my usual thing is if I'll rehearse and I'll have it all worked out, I'll have a script or whatever that exactly, and I'm just not. I say I'm not going to do it. Sunday night I will probably be up all night, but I'll just go in and just go, right, let's see what happens. Yeah. But I won't. I'll rehearse something. I'll debate at every angle.
This is obviously a massive pendulum, Tommy.
Yeah.
Massive.
Well, this is it. Massive pendulum, and it's like so much so that the whole point of why I brought this up is that that's a personal one. I know it's a greater pendulum of victimhood, and there's a whole history behind all that, but it's not me. It's not me as saying it's because of my gender, my sex, my race, my whatever. It's just me. So it's a personal. So it's a pendulum. I think can be more than just a group think. Yeah, it's like a habit or something that.
Just an idea that came to me there, like because maybe. See, I think that our personality traits can't really be changed. I think we just become aware of them and can use them. So, like, just a thought experiment for you, maybe. Like, if this victimhood thing is in you, a part of genetic code, say, well, then maybe also, if it's a pendulum, then instead of fighting against it, maybe try and find a way to work with it. You know?
Yeah.
But they're like, how can you find something positive in victimhood? I don't know, but that's your homework, Tommy.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, there has to be, because I mean, one of the things I say is in reality transurfing is that whenever something happens bad that you perceive as bad, you go, "What's my advantage in this?"
Yeah.
How is this to my advantage? Let's pretend this is to my advantage and see what it is. And not every time, but sometimes when you do that, you go, all right, okay. Like, I can see something, and it's very much like a little kind of psychological trick.
Maybe the advantage is just using it against itself, you know?
Yeah.
Or the advantage is just knowing now every time it pops up, rather than say you're taking 10 sessions of therapy you thought that were useless. Now, maybe next time you'll just be able to see it quicker and say, nah, you're all right. Move on.
Well, there's a great story, I'll quickly say it, but it's about Buddha when he was under the tree and he was trying to become enlightened, trying to find the whole, reason of what was going on and the whole thing. And in Hindu culture, the devil, or one of the devils, is called Mara, which is, it's like this kind of bad dude, or whatever. So the Mara used to keep
Sounds like an old one from Schlegel.
I know, yeah.
How are you, Mara?
Mara. But used to come up and try to tempt Buddha, give up your this seeking and all that. In the same way that Jesus in the desert. It's the same story, exact same story. Yeah. So Mara would get sneakier and sneakier and sneakier and, disguise himself as different people or, this kind of thing. And the whole thing is how the Buddha that dealt with was that he would put his hand on the ground to earth himself and he would say, "I see you, Mara." And I think that's the approach of the pendulum is recognize it.
Yeah,
and in that alone, then it's like the meditation thing we were talking about last time, that you can then decide to indulge in it or not. But the recognition is the bit where you go, "Oh, I see you, victim pendulum.
Yeah.
I see you." There, you're there, and then you can get into the ignoring it, the renting yourself out, or whatever type of stuff. But it's an interesting one. And I think there's probably loads of them. There's probably loads of pendulums knocking around that you've no idea of, that you're actually sucked into or that you're part of. It just seems... It's like that question we asked before, if an alien came down and had a look, what would be strange? It's probably so much strange that we just take for absolute granted, going, oh yeah, trousers, what's that about?
You don't need them. Yeah. You have underwear. You don't need trousers if you have underwear. Come on. I suppose. Yeah, funny, huh? And it's funny as well how, like, I like in it that, like, this idea that the pendulums, they only live off, or the only thing they want is energy, whether positive or negative. Yeah. And you can see that, like, this weekend I'm going off to the mountains, and I'm hoping that I'm going to meet that photographer guy I know, and we might see some wild animals, some wolves or bison, or maybe a bear, you know? Yeah. And I'm thinking...
It'd be great if you went into the forest and there was a huge pendulum just swinging.
And I'm thinking, is that a pendulum? If me wanting to indulge in this type of thing, is that a pendulum? No, because that's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, but you have to get your mind around, because you think that a positive thing, it's still a pendulum. These are all, like, whether it's good or bad, it's still, from the reality transurfing thing, that it's still a part of control. You still become an adherent to it. Photography in itself is a pendulum, because you become an adherent to the camera, to the thing. You're watching YouTube videos or whatever you're doing, all that kind of thing. And he would say that's inherently negative because you're giving up control and you're becoming the groupthink of something else. I'm not sure I agree with that in all cases, but it's definitely that.
But I don't think, like, well, I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm only 100 pages in or so. Like, I don't think there's any way to avoid pendulums. I think it's just about picking your battles and picking the ones that work for you. So far,
that
I have that I've gone into it so far. You know, like, obviously there's. I think negative ones are easier to see and pick out, like the media, for example. In my example, right? I don't need it anymore. I'm going to stop with the news. But you know, like, I've been skiing a good bit lately. Is that a pendulum? Yeah, it's fucking expensive, but it's great fun and it makes me a little bit healthier, and, you know, it's fun. I get some bonding time with the wife and with the boy he started as well, and, like, I can only kind of see a good thing. Except yesterday I fell so hard on my head I broke the little GoPro thing on my helmet.
Is the footage worth it though?
I didn't even have it on.
Oh no!
Jesus, a waste of a massive fall. Like, I don't even know how I did it. Like, and it's the second time I fall. Like, maybe there's something squishy about my head. the first very, very bad fall I had years ago skiing, I did a jump between two kind of hills like that. And I was trying to jump from one to the other. It wasn't right. Maybe there was like a meter or meter and a half between the two. You go up one and land on the other. No, right. I landed right on the apex of the other, and both skis came up and whacked me right in the forehead. And boom! And I couldn't ski for the rest of the day. I wasn't concussed or anything, but I was just like, my head was up my arse. You know, I had that Jinx Lennon song in my head for the rest of the day. My head is slowly disappearing up my own arse. That's a song. It's great. But yeah, and then yesterday, I fell right. I don't know how I did it. Like, I was leaning in the other direction, and I just went. I landed on my head like an idiot. I was seeing little stars for a minute, but it was all right then. Yeah.
You
anyway,
survived. You lived.
Yeah. So pendulums are mad. They're good to think about. There's a really good media if you're curious about the transurfing thing. Just search Transurfing Medium article. You'll find a good one. It's not written by the guy Vadim Zealand. It's written by someone who...
I'll put it in the show description. I know the one you're on about.
You know the one I'm on about. And it lists the kind of 9 or 12 factors of transurfing, and it's a very, very good breakdown. And I think pendulums, I think a lot of people will really find it interesting, because it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I think it's just the name can kind of be a bit off-putting, because you kind of go pendulum. But it's like, from a magic point of view, think of egregore or think of groupthink, you know, public opinion. Like a good kind of an example as well is like a club, not a football, like say your Legion of Mary type thing, the Scouts, where there's all that kind of political thing that's all in it. There's a kind of its own... It has its own kind of energy that you can feel, like it's palpable when you go into some of these things. You can kind of go, all right, I'm aware of this kind
I'm
of
not
thing.
welcome here.
I know. I suppose that's a perfect one. Going into a pub where you're not it's not your local, and everyone turns around and go, who's this stranger into our pendulum? But what I think giving the name to it is great, because it allows you then to, in the kind of Buddha Mara thing, to I see it. Yeah. I recognize what this is. This kind of habit or this energy or whatever. It's hard to have. There's no good name for it, because all of it's only kind of pointing at one kind of element. So pendulum is as good as egregore, is as good as resonance or whatever it is.
There's something as well that I liked about it, is that like there's a lot of these Transurf is different from the law of attraction, but there's a lot of these kind of esoteric thoughts or teachings or whatever, and a lot of them, to me anyway, they seem as if to be about like, each person is their own universe, and everything outside of it is malleable or is reachable or attainable by you, by thinking about it or by doing stuff. But in Reality Transurfing, he has a thing that, no, you're a guest here, and also everyone else is a guest here.
Yeah.
And the best form of action for guests is to give them choice and to make them comfortable and to be nice. And I think that's great. Isn't that lovely advice? Like, we're all just here, we're all guests, be nice to each other.
That's make yourself at home, but remember you're a guest. That's the line that repeats the whole way through it. And
that's great.
It's true.
I really like that.
What I love about Reality Transurfing is because it goes so woo in different places, but there's never a kind of a point where it jumps the shark really for me. Like there's bits where I'll go, well, okay, again, but there's no kind of, there's a Jewish plot to control the world element to it, or something, equally this, or there's no kind of Luke, I'm your father bit where you kind of go, no, that's just people misremembering, or there's no kind of like, there's a bit where you go, at least if it's not an answer I fully agree with, it's an answer that's acceptable. That's right. That's a decent enough argument for why the law of attraction doesn't work. Say, like I go, right, I understand that. Not sure if I completely agree right now, but at least you've answered that question, and it seems to be an answer to all of the different questions.
It's so strange because it's, when you boil it down, it's a simple idea, but it's also incredibly complex. But then when you know it, it seems to be kind of simple again,
Yeah.
And it's that like, okay, everything in life is attainable, but like you're not going to get it by thinking about it. You're going to get it by thinking about it, and also, moving on the right steps to get it. It's like, if you make a film and you want to get it released, well, there's no point in just sitting on your arse and saying, I'm going to win an Oscar, I'm going to win an Oscar. Visualize the Oscar, visualize having an orgy and the after party of that might be fun, but that's not how it works. Like you're actually going to have to make a film. No, I'm out. And this is kind of what it boils down to. It's that well, okay, there are all of these different kind of life maps, or I suppose you can call them, or different realities we can say.
Lifelines
lifelines, but to get to them, you need to follow certain steps. You need to think about them, identify what you need to do, get rid of your emotion. That's a good one, and then just do them. And it's like, makes sense. Okay, let's make films.
I think the thing where you're saying is that it's a simple idea that gets complicated and goes simple. It's a simple idea, and then there's a kind of a but what about? And then there's all of this answering all the buts, and then at the end it goes back to the simple idea again, and you go, all right. That I've now been satiated by all of this stuff that I probably didn't need to concern myself with, but I needed it to be there to appreciate the simple idea of it.
Like there's a whole, I think there's about 20 pages of relationship stuff I've just gone through, and I've just went through it really fast because I don't care. I have an awesome wife and a great relationship. I'm alright. I don't need any of that.
Yeah, you should probably ask your wife whether you should read those 20 pages of relationship advice or not. I've just skipped all this relationship advice because I'm acing it, right, wife? Acing it. I'm perfect, yeah?
No, I said she's perfect. Right? Not me. I'm useless. I just got lucky. I identified the lifeline where I could find an awesome hot wife who was really, really intelligent. That's what I did, you see. I was transurfing before I even knew what it was. Yeah. And she listens to this, so she's going to love that.
So you just create a pendulum that she can't get out of now at this point. You've just she's sucked in. She's part of it. She's an adherent. That's it. Done. She's going to start ignoring you now, and you'll go, "Are you renting yourself out to me?" And not in the fun way.
It's like, remember there was a Simpsons episode where Homer leaves the house for half an hour and he comes back wearing an onion bag and he's all disgusted and he's like, Marge, I can't give you anything except my undying devotion.
That's
fucking
you.
muggins here, you know.
Yeah. So we look forward to talking some other stuff about it, because as you get further through it, I'm reading it again. I didn't finish it the last time I read it either. But there's great stuff in it, like the inner and outer intentions differing from desire. Have you come across any of that kind of stuff? Or
No, I just started the giving things too much importance.
oh yes, excess potential and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Then there's a whole lucid dreaming section, which I was kind of that seemed to go on forever, but I understand the point of it, I suppose. The vaudeville lifeline, all of these things. There's loads of different things in it. That's definitely and there's some great stuff on YouTube if you want to kind of look a bit more into it. Bootsy does some stuff. What's your other one called? Renee Garcia.
Renee Garcia. She runs the
Institute.
International Transurfing Institute. They have Transurf on YouTube. You'll find it.
Yeah, they did have all the audiobooks on it until recently, and there was some sort of copyright issue, which
I think they're still there, but under different names. I think other people have uploaded them.
Yeah, Bootsy himself doesn't have it, but you can find it.
Yeah. They're there. But to buy the book, it's
just
great.
buy the book. Yeah,
because I'm there with the pen, and I'm just like every second paragraph. Yeah, need to know that. Need to know that. Need to know that. Need to know that. It's.
But how is the printing though? I mean that's important if the printing's okay.
You know what? A page fell out yesterday. I hadn't told you. I opened it yesterday even, and literally a page is the page, and it's a good behind the book. It's titled something vampires, time vampires or something like that.
Page vampires.
And it just popped out, and I went, for fuck's sake, because someone on Reddit had asked, was the printing any good? And we're like, yeah, it's grand, yeah. And then honestly, God, it's just opened it up, and next thing this page just separated. What the fuck was the page called? Because the woman, Renee Garcia, mentions, is it time vampires or
energy vampires?
Energy vampires. That page just popped out, and I went, that's either a sign or else it's been lousily printed. And I'm gonna go with it's lousily printed because I don't have time to spend on
on signs.
Energy vampires right now. Well, I'll get to it in about 20 days or something. Anyway.
That would drive me insane. Does that mean now there's going to be any amount of pages falling out? Probably, do you do the thing? Have you broke the spine and all that horrible thing that people do to books? Like, are you?
No,
do you know how
no.
Do you know how to read books properly? Do you?
Are you supposed to break the spines?
No.
No. It's very, but it's too fucking big. I should have bought the individual books rather than 1 to 5.
But they're like 120 quid each, though. They're not in print anymore.
And I couldn't find them. I found this one on Polish eBay for like 20, 25.
There's a great interview with the Renee and Bootsy, and they're going like, oh, and I have the 5 books, and this one, I think you can get on Amazon for 200 quid, but it's worth it. And Bootsy goes, yeah, I got it for 22 quid on eBay, so check out eBay.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I seen a thing on Reddit today where a person, maybe it was Reddit or Twitter, one of them, where he cuts big books in half, like literally puts a knife down the spine. He says, it's easier to read. And I was going, oh no, you can't. You can't do that.
No, don't be doing that. Books are precious. I've gone back to only getting paper books now. I'm totally done with Kindles. I've no interest in them.
I enjoy both. I love having the book. So I have the Reality Transurfing, the physical book. Yeah. I have the Tufty stuff. You haven't even got into any of the Tufty stuff. You'll not like that, I will say.
No, I don't like the head of her. There's something weird about her.
You won't like the presentation, but the stuff's good. But I'm actually reading it on the Kindle.
Right.
Some stuff. It depends on. I like being able to switch between audiobook and Kindle books. I really enjoy that, so that if I'm driving, I can still be reading my book, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I didn't have that, whether I'd be reading that much on Kindle. Anyway, who cares about my reading, how I read things? Jesus Christ.
Right, come on, Tommy, I'll go make the stew.
Right, okay. Tell me how much of a victim I am. Will you play into my needs? This pendulum is fading. It needs to be. It needs more adherence.
Don't the Man United fans always get in trouble with Liverpool fans, don't they? Because they have a song. They have a song about Hillsborough.
Right.
You're always the victim. It's never your fault. Which is horrible when it's connected with Hillsborough.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny as well. Well, it's not funny with Hillsborough, but it's funny to say it to other people because it's like, it's everything is. It's all the world. Fuck the world, man. The world's a horrible place. It's terrible. It's awful, Tommy. You were born under a black star. Basically.
Yeah, particularly me. I have it hard, right? me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You personally, you were born under a black star, and it's just bad timing. It's unlucky. I mean, even the night that you were conceived, it was howling dogs and cats were having sex with horses, and it was just everything was wrong with the world that night, you know. And
Yeah.
sure, you never had a chance.
No, I don't, you know, yeah, I should just feel sorry for myself because it's right and just, and it's what God wants.
Here's the silver lining. Make fun of it.
Yeah, well, that's it. The affordable lifeline, as they say in Reality Transurfing. Right, bye.
Bye bye.